Welcome to episode 42 of the Second Look Sports Podcast. I'm your host, as usual today, Justin Armberg, and joining along with me is Alex Mandarino. Like we told you before, the schedules are always going to be hard to match up, so Brandon is currently catching up on a lot of work for Sportsnet at the moment. But let's talk right off the hop. We got a busy show. We got Ian Finlayson of Sportsnet, Raptors Republic, and Jays Nation coming on to speak about the massive signing by the Toronto Blue Jays that we're going to get into in a second, the largest free agent signing in Blue Jays history. But before that, Alex, how's the week been? What's going on with you?
Yeah, yesterday was great. We're recording this on Thursday. Yesterday, Wednesday, November 26th was a huge day in Toronto for multiple reasons. So obviously the Jays with the signing we'll get into, and the Raptors and Leafs both winning. The Raptors are already on the rise. The Leafs were on a downward spiral, and they managed to kind of at least stop the bleeding for the time being. So positive vibes all around. There's football on for American Thanksgiving today.
Yes.
It's going to be a busy holiday season for me work-wise. I'm sure a lot of us are kind of going to be all over the place, which we'll dive into closer to. But I'm excited. I'm happy that we're watching some sports these days and things are going the right direction, at least in a Toronto perspective.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week. Everything seems to be picking up, like we said. It's just a nonstop sports action every single day of the calendar. And yes, one team that was really good, that lifted everyone's spirits and then everyone's trying to heal from was the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Toronto Raptors have picked up right off where they left. The Blue Jays left it and they're kind of a team that, just like the Blue Jays, I don't think anyone really expected to be as good as what they are. Like people had expectations going into the year about the Toronto Raptors potentially being like a 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, taking a little bit of a step, but not this not being the year that they're actually going to contend in the Eastern Conference. Just like the Toronto Blue Jays last year, I don't think anyone really had them being a 20-win improvement team from a year ago. So it's been a crazy last couple of weeks. I think it's safe to say people in Toronto are starting to officially heal though. I
would say
we're past that.
No, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, no, we're getting there. And I think the fact that we're getting closer to the holidays helps, but also this signing, and again, we keep teasing this, we're just waiting for Ian to join us, but like it does set a big precedent, I think, for the rest of the offseason and the MLB. But I've explained this to a few people. I feel like the Raptors are giving a lot of the same narratives early in the season that the Jays were to end their season. Like, I feel like a lot of the players there are very similar in the sense of like they're dominating in ways that we probably didn't expect this year. And it's kind of exciting to see. And I know our colleague will be joined to chat a little bit more about that now.
Yeah. So Ian, we're just talking about like the similarities between the Blue Jays and Raptors, like in terms of like teams that I don't think people really going into their respective seasons, there was expectations to take a jump from the previous season where they were at, but no one expected the season from the Blue Jays, the 20 wins from the year before, or improvement. And then the Raptors, like I said, going into the year, I think people expected an improvement, like a 6 seed, 6 seed in the Eastern Conference, but not what they're doing right now, I would say. Would you agree with that, or do you think
certainly. Yeah. Like, I think that, do you guys still have me there?
Yeah, we got you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. It cut to me for a second. Yeah, no, I think that the Jays, and the Raptors definitely, like, there was expected to be some internal improvement on the Jays side. Like, I think that's where the situation differs, is that, the previous year was more of a disappointment for the Jays, whereas the Raptors have been, they've been in kind of a rebuild of sorts, at least depending on how you want to look at it for a couple years. And this was kind of supposed to be the year they took a step forward from that. So yeah, I think that the Raptors, obviously we're yet to see where it's going to go. Like, only just a game away from being a quarter of the way into the season. And there's different caveats that people, can kind of throw in there. The schedule, you could say the schedule has maybe been a little soft. They faced the Nets a couple times, the Hornets a couple times, the Wizards, the Pacers a couple times as well, right? Who've fallen apart with injury. They faced the Cavs all 3 times, and they have never had their full starting lineup when they faced them. So there's all kinds of stuff like that people throw out there. But at the end of the day, you play who's in front of you, right? And
Yeah.
I do think that you can definitely draw through lines, like if you just want to bring it back to an emotional standpoint and a feel standpoint of just how much camaraderie there seems to be, how connected the players seem to be on a
Yeah.
personal level, off the court, off the field. There's definitely like just very good vibes around those teams right now, which
Yeah.
it's a bit of an intangible, but never hurts, of course.
You
Yeah.
can't say that about the Maple Leafs, unfortunately. You just in this city, there's never going to be a moment where all teams are going to be riding sky high, and that's just the way it's always going to be. But like I said, this is Ian Finlayson joining us, my colleague at Sportsnet, writer for the Raptors Republic and Jays Nation, also a former classmate of ours. We took the same program at Centennial College, joining us now on the Second Look Sports podcast. Thank you, Ian, for joining us. Let's just not go around. Let's just not skip the lead. Let's go right to it. It's Dylan Cease, the biggest free agent signing in Toronto Blue Jays history in terms of dollar amount. 7 years, $210 million, which is an AAV of $30 million per season. But with deferrals, I'm seeing around 7 years, $182 million is what it will look like in an actual like pay schedule or a pay structure. Sorry. Ian, what do you think of this signing just as an overall perspective of the Blue Jays?
Yeah, like big like 10,000 foot view, overarching kind of opinion is that it's fantastic, right? I think for the Jays,
Mm-hmm.
it's a home run, whatever you want to call it, right? Like they did a great job, kind of jumping the market too, which is atypical for them if you look at
Yeah.
kind of past patterns of how they've operated. And yeah, I mean, Cease is, you could say, that was the best starter available on the market, right? You could maybe argue, Ranger Suarez or Framber Valdez as well. But yeah, in my opinion, he was the best starter available on the market, and I think that the dollar value is a lot stronger than at least the consensus that I've been seeing online a little bit. But I'm curious to hear what you fellas think of the cost of the actual salary that was given out to him.
Listen, this is what you're gonna have to pay for big time starting pitching in the MLB. Like that, like you're paying a price for a premium of a guy that has been one of the, I wouldn't say top 5 pitchers in the league in the past like couple of years, but definitely a reliable top 20 guy in the league that like is a big name. And usually the Blue Jays don't end up getting these guys in terms of the massive free agents. They're second place usually or somewhere in that range. Like Corbin Burns last year. I know it probably looks good that they didn't sign him now, but like they were in on that conversation. They ended up second. Like they just this doesn't usually happen for the Blue Jays. So seeing them get, and like you said, jumping the market as well to get him at a dollar value that I don't think is that unreasonable. I think it's a good move. Alex, what
Yeah,
about you?
and just to kind of like feed off of that, I think the timing of when this was sort of finalized, we can ask you a little bit more about that. The fact that it was before American Thanksgiving and kind of kickstarts the market, and the fact that obviously the October run clearly didn't hurt the pockets of the Jays and Rogers. So hopefully that feeds into the ability to pay him and possibly other players down the line. And the fact that we've seen in the past off seasons that there's been a lot of swing and the miss, and pardon like the baseball pun there, but that's essentially what's been happening. Is we've had great off seasons to some degree, but those big fish, everyone's been saying, oh well, Ross Atkins and Shapiro, they've been in on it, they've been in on it, they've been in on it, and finally the swing actually was able to kind of come at the perfect time. We've had
Mm-hmm.
the conversations with Shapiro and Atkins where Atkins is always kind of like hiding. He's never really sharing any information to the media in post game or postseason availability. And you knew something may have been there in terms of him hiding something. And now we've seen one of the biggest fish, like you suggested, Ian, come off the market. And it's like, okay, well, this payoff that we've seen in the past few off seasons has finally hit this year. So in terms of price, when you have to make that payment, you hopefully have the pockets for it. I think it's just a win all around.
Yeah, I mean the kind of dialogue that the Jays were always in on, and kind of a finalist for some of these top tier names in past free agencies. Obviously Shohei Ohtani was the biggest, most publicized, and the kind of
Yeah.
most controversial of those. But you look at Roki Sasaki, and other more recent free agents, like
Even
Soto, of
Juan
course.
Soto, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it does get a little tired, certainly for fans. Like, of course, you want to be involved in those discussions. You want to be contending, but I mean, I think it was a quote from Shapiro himself. Like, there is no close. Like, you either sign the player or you don't, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's it's a um, you know, it's a zero-sum game, really, essentially at
Yeah.
the end of things. So yeah, the fact that they are able to land someone, it is a big statement for the franchise. Obviously, they've kind of, it's the second largest contract in franchise history after the $500 million 14-year deal that
Yeah.
Vladimir Guerrero signed at the start of last season. And so they already have kind of put their stamp out there that they are willing to spend amongst the big boys. But yeah, it just keeps kind of pushing that further and putting them on the map like that, as you alluded to there, Alex. That's something that's kind of been in the back of my mind as far as how much motivation the postseason run gave the ownership
Hmm.
group, gave Rogers and the front office, as far as like what they saw from that and how much they value um, like that experience and what it contributed
Hmm.
to the ownership, to the franchise. And so I was kind of curious, like, just how much that would impact their outlook and spending going forward. So yeah, I mean, it seems like all systems are go. They like all the reporting out of um, the meetings and everything, like, and then coming up to the winter meetings, is that they've been really aggressive, right? They are like,
Yeah.
they seem to be kind of more posturing themselves more so than ever before. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see just how big they go going forward.
Yeah, it feels like they're leveraging this postseason run and like past I want to say success in terms of the signing free agents and how they've turned out, like Kevin Gosman, for example. In terms of the starting pitching, like it's right up their alley. Just like Ben Nicholson Smith wrote today for Sportsnet.ca, it's literally on par with the Blue Jays, but then at the same time it's different because you're going to new extremes that they never went before. So this is kind of crazy. But I wanted to dive underneath and look at Dylan Cease a little bit more, something that I'm sure that you have already done a little bit more in the last 24 hours. The
A little bit.
2025 season was not one of his best, I would say. 8-12 record, but 4.55 ERA, 215 strikeouts, and a 1.33 WHIP. Listen, I think that those numbers are a little bit inflated. If you actually go like to the underlying metrics, he was basically a whole run below or a whole run over what he was expected to last season. So like it's just when you look at the underlying metrics and then look at what he did last year, he's also a pitcher. I'm pretty sure that's one of like 4 pitchers in like the last 25 years to have 5 straight seasons of 200 plus strikeouts. It's really impressive stuff, but obviously he got lit up last year. Is there reason to be concerned about that numbers, or is it like look at the underlying numbers and that's what you really want to look at when the C signing when you're evaluating it?
That is the right question to be asking, Justin. I appreciate you alluding and then referencing the underlying numbers there. Of course, you guys know that I'm an analytics nerd for sure. You can typecast me as that, I guess. But yeah, I don't think there's any reason to be concerned about Cease at all. I like the ERA is not good. I personally don't value ERA as a great way to evaluate pitchers in general. I think it's a terrible way to evaluate relievers, and I think it's still not a great way to evaluate starters. Um, just because I think it's more of a team stat, right? It's not the pitcher that solely allows the runs. It's the team,
Mhm.
and I don't think that
Yep.
errors fully mitigate that, right? Like fully kind of
Yep.
adjust for poor defense, right? Because it's not an error if the fielder doesn't get there, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I think like a stat that I look at a lot is like fielding independent pitching, which like similar to expected ERA. It just accounts for what a pitcher can control. So like strikeouts, walks, and home runs. That stat generally tends to be a lot more stable, like over multiple years. Like for example, you look at Dylan Cease's stats. He had his last year or second last year rather with the White Sox, where he was finished second in Cy Young voting. He had a 2.20 ERA. The next year's ERA jumps to 4.58. But then you look at his FIP year over year, and it's pretty stable. It's always kind of in the mid to low threes because it's just a
Mhm.
more descriptive statistic. On top of that, you talked about the strikeouts. that's the huge thing, right? Like that he brings an element of swing and miss that no Blue Jays pitcher, even Kevin Gausman, has in this rotation. He actually leads, like you said, over 200 strikeouts the last 5 seasons. He's number one in MLB in strikeouts over the last 5 seasons. He had the third highest strikeout rate among all starters last year. Yeah, I think Dylan Cease is, like you said, maybe wasn't considered to be a top 5 or 10 pitch last year. He absolutely has that upside though, and that ceiling. Like
ability. And
he's here for the next 7 years. He could win a Cy Young in Toronto. He could be, over the next few years, one of the top 5 to 10 pitchers in baseball. Like absolutely. The other thing is the durability too, right? That's a huge part of the conversation. He's been extremely durable, and that marries up with the Blue Jays, support staff, health and training staff, pitching staff, having a great reputation with keeping starters healthy. I've seen it reported online that when the Blue Jays tried to, talk to Cease previously and bring him in previously, he was really impressed with both Pete Walker and Sam Green's pitch on how they were going to keep him healthy and make him be that true top end workhorse starter, like year in, year out. I think that not only do their kind of outlook and approach and the way that he goes about his work really aligns with the organization. I also just think he's one of the best pitchers on the planet. So it's like pretty like I said, they did it an incredible job. It's a home run signing.
Yeah.
I just had one more question
from like
go
for it, Justin.
About Cease, just on the velocity. Like there was no one in the lineup that has the velocity on the fastball, at least, that Cease does. Do you think that was important to the Blue Jays going into this offseason? Because obviously there's arguably a better pitcher on the market in Framber Valdez, like out there. But he doesn't have the velocity that I would say that a Dylan Cease has. Do you think that was important to the Blue Jays going into the offseason?
I haven't really thought about that. I don't know. I mean, velocity is always important, right? Like the numbers bear out that, higher velocity pitches, they don't get hit as hard. They lower slug, lower barrel rates, less home runs. Like velocity definitely does matter, but I think it's not the be all and end all, right? Like there is, like, you can be a good pitcher and not throw hard. Like there's pitch shapes, there's different pitch mixes, there's the way they tunnel off each other. There's all kinds of factors, right? So I wouldn't imagine that it hurt. Like I'm sure that, and maybe there is like an element of that they want to add into their rotation to maybe have a bit more variability, especially like you look at a postseason series, right, where you're seeing guys multiple times. If you're seeing too much of the same look, you kind of want to vary that up. So maybe there's something there, and that's an interesting maybe direction to go with thinking about that. But I definitely don't think it hurts.
Yeah. Over the last 4 seasons, just what we're talking about is like velocity. Average fastball miles per hour wise is 96.6, which ranks 18th in the MLB. So obviously, like we're saying, brings something that is massive to the starting rotation. And speaking of the starting rotation, like Ian, where do you think it's at now? Like maybe you have predictions of what the starting 5 would look like to start the year. We don't have to necessarily break that down unless you feel really confident about it. I'm just curious to see where your thoughts are right now. Where's the starting rotation? How does it look for this upcoming year? And do you think they should add something else, or is there anything in their system that they should kind of sort of tweak, or at least someone to bring up for the next season?
Well, I think it looks incredibly strong, and how fast it swung from being in a really shaky spot to now where it's, kind of measures up with any rotation across MLB, like is pretty spectacular. I mean, exiting the World Series the way they did, and then you're looking at, I think it was a surprise to everyone that Shane Bieber picked up his option, right? Everyone thought that he was going to be gone. You're looking at Chris Bassett leaving, you're looking at Max Scherzer leaving, and the rotation before any of this happened looked like it was going to be Kevin Gausman, Trey Savage, Jose Barrios' health was in question, which all the reports have come out that he should be fine for spring training. And then after that, you were looking at depth options that have been good at times, like Eric Lauer and Baden Francis, but are like far from sure things. So going from that to now, and I think that like pretty much everyone has the consensus that the projected rotation now is going to be like in some order or another. You could maybe flip flop some of these guys, but like Cease, Bieber, Gausman, Savage, and then Barrios in the 5 spot. Like Jose Barrios was the opening day starter. That's
actually crazy.
It's a pretty big swing for sure. And then you still have depth options behind that in Lauer, in Francis. You have Ricky Tiedemann, who's still working his way back from injury, but he has, touched 97, 98 from the left side. Like he's when he's at his best, like you never know how things are going to pan out. He could end up transitioning to the bullpen. But yeah, like their depth is enviable right now. The top end is enviable. Like it all looks like very, very strong. Of course, like you said, do I think they should have more? Like the cliche is like you can never have enough pitching, right? So like sure, I don't think it would hurt to add a depth option. As far like, I mean, yeah, it never hurts to add more, but like the way things are right now, they're certainly in a good spot, I think.
Nice. I would assume that now it's about a couple bats and bullpen is what the focus is probably on right now. Also, you mentioned about depth. Jake Bloss, I just have to mention him because he looks. I'm impressed by him. I really like him in AAA. He was honestly pretty good. I think he's going to be maybe not an elite pitcher. It's hard to project these type of things, but someone that the Blue Jays will have in their organization at some point next year, I feel like, based on injuries and call-ups and all this. But just one last thing on the Blue Jays before we switch up to the Raptors, unless Alex has anything else on the Blue Jays. What does this mean, the Cease signing mean for Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer and also Bo Bichette or potentially a Kyle Tucker? I know that last year they're sitting around $280 million. Right now with the Cease signing, they're sitting around $260 in terms of what the payroll would be for this upcoming season. So do you think that Bo Bichette or Chris Bassett or Max Scherzer or Kyle Tucker is out of the cards now and it's kind of like a bunch of depth pieces that we're going to see the Blue Jays go after now?
I don't think that this signing would be like prohibitive to them bringing in anyone, honestly. I don't like Tucker. It might be like I don't think it would limit them from doing that. It might like it'd be like a slight kind of barrier, like maybe it discourages them a little bit, but like if you look at their payroll, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but over the last few years, it's steadily increased every season. Like it's been like just under the first tax, and then 255, and like you said, 280, and like I wouldn't be, especially after the success that they just experienced, the extra revenue. I would not be surprised at all to see them continue to push that upwards. I'm don't know anything specific. I don't have any like idea really. This is all speculative, but like
we know that Mark Shapiro said it's not going backwards. Like we know that.
That's what they've said every year, and it's always gone up. So I mean, if you're looking at past trends, I would not be shocked at all to see it go up. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them sign either Bo Bichette or Kyle Tucker, especially like considering
both history there.
You know what? Honestly, I've thrown myself so much into basketball. I haven't been doing the comps and really been lining that up or thinking about it all too much lately. Like I'd have to really look into it more to give you like a concrete answer, but like that, it's tough because Bo Bichette's been here for so long. He has the connection with Vlad. There's like an emotional attachment from the organization and the fans and the city there. So that's a factor. I think if you were to one-to-one compare them, like Tucker would probably have a slight edge in terms of like overall actual value, but then maybe also have to consider what the contracts look like. So it's I would say it's at least close.
It's a toss-up or
okay.
You'd have to wonder where you'd place these guys because like is Bo willing to play second base maybe in his career? Is Jimenez is a better option at shortstop, right? Like you're gonna have to make some adjustments, and that's the major leagues and that's sports. But you'd be curious to see if he would be willing to stay if his role was adjusted a little bit, even if he got paid to the same level that he would get as an unrestricted free agent elsewhere. So like there's a lot of factors I'm sure that we're all not focused directly on and don't have all the information at this time. It's fun to speculate.
That is a funny part of the Jays season that Bichette got hurt down the stretch. Obviously that wasn't funny, but then Jimenez is playing shortstop, and they realize after having such an incredible storybook season that we've been having our shortstop play second base all year. Like it's actually like Andres Jimenez is a much better defensive shortstop than Bo Bichette. It's pretty apparent to everyone, right? So I mean, that's definitely a conversation that has to be had. His willingness to like move over during the postseason, I think, at least speaks to like some open-mindedness there. But
definitely.
I guess I don't think anyone knows for sure exactly what his eyes are on positionally going forward.
Yeah,
All right,
100%.
let's switch up to the other great news in the
I have one
city.
more thing to throw in that
Oh,
I
here
had
we
in my
go.
notes that I got to
Oh,
spit out
okay.
about Cease. So just in terms, because I've seen a lot of, not a lot, but I've seen some people calling it an overpay online. So I just want to speak to that a little bit from like a numerical standpoint. I think generally speaking in MLB over the last few seasons, they say the value of like one win above replacement has floated anywhere between like $9 and $11 million. It's kind of slowly gone up a little with inflation. Um, but over the last 5 seasons, Dylan Cease has averaged 3.36 wins above replacement. So if you value it even at the high end with inflation at $11 million, that lines right up with $30 million. So I think the deal
Fair.
was pretty much roughly what he was worth, I think.
And
Yeah,
at 29
that's good
years
to know.
old, he's not like he's still got, I don't know. We look at Gosman and we're like 34, 35. Like that's where this deal is kind of. He's gonna be 36 when the deal ends, but like those back 3 years, like you're probably gonna look at him as a 4-5 guy in
And
the rotation. So
I think that's where like the durability conversation comes into. Like the age obviously
exactly.
factors in, but if you've seen over the past 4 or 5 years, he's thrown 200 strikeouts, 30 games pitched in all four, I believe. Like that makes a big difference. So
Yep.
that's kind of where you can look at the age conversation.
Yeah, so
Anyway,
he has made over 30 starts each of the last
Yeah.
5 years, 32 or 33 each year. He's always between 165 and 190 innings, over 200 strikeouts. Yeah, so it's very consistent
Yeah.
output.
very consistent stuff. You know what is consistent as well? The Toronto Raptors and their winning streak, because that just does not seem to end. They're 14-5 on the season, 9-game winning streak. The first question I have about the Raptors is, what has impressed you the most about this 9-game winning streak?
Yeah, that's a good
I know you've
question.
written a couple like different. I want to say different looks like during this game winning streak for Raptors Republic.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I've gotten a little
different, like
specific.
yeah, and like with different areas of the game as well. Like you had the piece on I think it was Quickly, wasn't it, that you had a
It
piece
was
on?
I wrote about Emmanuel
Yeah,
Quickly
Quickly,
and Brandon
yeah,
Ingram's pull-up shooting. So I kind of
yeah.
specifically homed in on the pull-up shooting in one. Another one I wrote about the 2 point guard lineups, which both are very
Hmm.
micro, like kind of zooming in on certain level
Yeah.
like aspects of the game. It's not really anything too big picture. But yeah, as far as what I've been most impressed with, I mean, there's so much. It's yeah, I'd have to think about that for a second to really pin it down. Like the first things that are coming to mind are just like the offense in general, because after the first 5 games this year, it's been transcendent, and like that is probably the most unexpected aspect of the team. They've been a bottom 6 half-court offense for the last 4 seasons. They've either ranked 25th or 26th in the league every year, and they are 5th coming into today. Before the Pacers game on Wednesday, they were ranked 2nd in half-court offense. The turnaround that the offense has made has been incredible, and that kind of leads to the second thing that's been most impressive, and that's just Brandon Ingram.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say. So
And
then, if it's the offense that's most impressive, who is the most impressive player on the offense? And
well, yeah,
Brandon
it's
Ingram has to be that person.
yeah, pretty easily, and like it's just the shot, like it's just sheer like shot making. Like
Yeah.
there is like more nuance to it, and there's definitely different ways you could look at what he does, but like yeah, you gotta lead off with the shot making. He's shooting among high volume mid range shooters, at least I think it's with above 50 attempts. I was looking at it today. He's leading the league in mid range shooting percentage. He's leading the league in percentage on pull-up shots. No, that's both 2s and 3s. So he's not leading it on like effective field goal percentage. Technically, there are pull-up 3-point shooters that are more valuable than him. But like I would argue that if you look at the pull-up 2s that he takes, every single one of them is heavily contested, hand in the face over the other team's top wing defender. I would say that his pull-up 2-point shots are probably some of the most difficult shots that any player takes in the league, and he's making more of them than anyone else, a higher percentage of them. So it's
Does
like
he
yeah.
does he remind you of someone that
Uh,
played for
are
the
you
Toronto Raptors?
are you getting at Kawhi? I mean, like,
No, not even Kawhi. I wasn't gonna say
That's
Kawhi.
been floating out. That's been floated out there on like a very micro level. Like obviously we're not suggesting that they're the same
Yeah,
player, but that has been like, sprinkled out there in the media, which I think is
I was
obviously
gonna
too
say
early, but I can see where it's coming from.
I was
Or
gonna
were you
say
gonna
the
say?
mid-range game of DeMar DeRozan
Yeah.
to Brandon
So
Ingram.
the pump fakes a little bit. Like, I mean, he's got a really good pump fake. He pump fakes a
Mhm.
lot. I think he joked in like one of the Raptors post games the other day that he's like, oh, I'm not pumping like 4 times like Kobe or anything
Like
like that.
Kobe,
But I like
yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I can see the parallel drawn there. I'm not like too big on player thumbs ever, really, just because like it's never 1-to-1. But like, yeah, if you look at like the mid-range artistry that like he's put on display, I don't think that like they definitely haven't had a player close to that level since Kawhi, and then obviously DeMar before him. But yeah, it's really just a treat to watch a player that skilled and that talented do things that like so few players can. It's a rarity in the league, and it also empowers like the rest of the offense to kind of to
Hmm.
do so much. So yeah, that my answer is the offense, and the offense is doing so well. Um, I guess the main reason is Brandon Ingram. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious if you take away Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes, because those are obviously like your 1-2 options. You might argue otherwise, but at least from an offensive perspective, it offers Barnes an opportunity to kind of take that second look as opposed to being the one guy to kind of drive the offense. What player is like impressed you? It doesn't have to be offensively, but what player has impressed you the most this season? I feel like we've seen some of the acquisitions or some of the younger players like a Jacoby Walter, like a Jamal Shed, like a Mamakhalishvili come in and play a role, but play it like to the best of their ability. Is there a player either offensively, defensively, overall that you've been the most impressed with this season besides maybe your BIs and your Scotties?
So like beyond what I would have expected coming into the season. Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
like exceeding expectations. I would probably say it's I mean the bench has been incredible, right? They've been one of the
Yeah.
best benches in the league. I actually haven't checked recently, but they were up there for quite a while in first. I don't know where they're at now. I would imagine probably top 5 in bench net rating.
Mm-hmm.
But it's close between Jamal Shed and Sandro Mamakhalishvili.
Sandro.
Yeah, both those guys have been pretty incredible. Sanders cooled off like a little bit the last couple of games. There's been a couple defensive miscues, and he had that one game where he went like 3 for 9 and like missed a whole bunch of layups and stuff. He was, people weren't too happy with that. But I guess like if I had to give one answer, it would be Jamal Shed, just because like I think there was a lot of like question to whether he could even stick in the league, right? It's so
Mm-hmm.
hard for small guards to exist in the NBA. Like you have to be so skilled. He didn't really have a great jump shot and a great 3-point shot coming out of Houston. I think that like the defense, even though it is like that's kind of what he's known for, and that's the reputation he has. I don't think that it was as good as kind of like publicly perceived during the first season. He fouled a lot. I think that like, he's able to be pesky and physical, but at the same time, like the physicality did get to him at times. He was getting like pushed off his spot and stuff like that on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that like the defense it's still not like I don't think great or anything, but there's progress there. Like he's just able to like he's always like an effort guy, right? He's a winning player. So when you see him like fighting over screens as hard as possible, he draws a ton of moving screens. He does
Mhm.
those like little things that kind of like make a difference in the long run. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean the shot's been going down, right? He's shooting better from three than the entire Raptors starting lineup. Like, he's shooting better
Yeah,
quickly than Ingram.
that's
And
crazy.
I think I can't, I had it. It's either 41 or 42%. Because she's shooting really well
I think
from
it's
three.
42. I was looking at it today. It's
Yeah.
42.
It's
It's
something.
nuts.
Yeah. So he's been shooting really well from three. And he also like I would say the thing that's probably impressed me the most about his game is the decisions he's making with the ball on his drives.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to get downhill better than like any other Raptors guard by far. I would say quickly like picks up his dribble way too much and kind of interrupts the flow of the offense at times. He's got a great first step, and he's got great burst. Super fast to get by his defenders and into the lane. He's not a very good finisher at the rim. Like he gets blocked a lot, and his efficiency at the rim is quite poor. But he's very good at like getting downhill, collapsing the defense a little bit, and making that next right pass. Like last year during his rookie season, we saw him a lot more getting into that short mid range area and taking a ton of those little like kind of push shots or floaters. And he shot like okay on them, but it's not like a desirable shot. But now he's getting into that spot taking way less of those shots and like not just moving the ball along all the time, which is great, but like making the right decision with the ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that like the way that he keeps the offense flowing and moving, and builds on some of those little advantages that he gets, and yeah, just his decision making have made him like such a valuable player to the second unit. Like really,
Totally.
like I think he's like easily exceeded expectations more than any other player. Sanders been great too,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a question about someone that's taken. It's hard to say a step back because he was playing a bigger role last year on a team that was not as competitive. But Grady Dick, obviously, last year was in a starter's role, averaged 14.4 points per game, and this season it's down to 6.8. Do you think that's just because of Brandon Ingram basically coming in and taking his spot in the starting lineup, and him playing less minutes, or is there something that you're seeing from him that like it's just not as good as what it was last year?
I mean, I think with Grady, it really comes down to just like he's like not shooting well. He's not making the
Okay.
shots. Like
Yeah.
he's shooting 30. I think I just looked at. I think it was like 31
Mhm.
point something from three. It's trending down. Like he's been in his worst stretch of the season over the last few games. Well, they've been red hot. And yeah,
He's
Grady's kind
he's
of like a
shooting
funny.
31% from three right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like a funny case because like last year the issue was the defense, right? Like the defense was like pretty much unfeasible.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't like he was getting like played off the floor on defense. He kind of hit a bit of a sophomore wall physically, strength wise. Yeah, he wasn't holding up. Um, he moved like he during the early part of the season he was among the league leaders in like distance traveled on both ends of the floor. So he was just getting like they were running him off so many like screens and he was just like a movement shooter relocating all over
Hmm.
the floor on offense. So like I think he just got run like ragged kind of. And yeah, this season it's really funny because like the defense has been like kind of better. Like it's been
Yeah.
passable. Like he's I mean you always notice like the really bad plays and the really good plays, but I
Hmm.
think like he picks the odd guy for a steal, but he still did that last year. And like obviously he still gets blown by the odd time, but I think like the in between plays that maybe don't get noticed as much is probably where it's been the most difference. Like just
Hmm.
like containing a guy a little more in a drive, like steering him into the help a little bit better, like things like that. I think like physicality wise, just like standing his ground a little more. Yeah, and like like it's actually really funny. I haven't checked it recently, but like um for a while he had like the best defensive net rating of like any Raptors player, which like it's a flawed stat anyway. Like it's all like context based on who you're playing with and stuff, right? But like it's just kind of funny.
Hmm.
And yeah, like and then like aside from that, he also has really great gravity on offense, even though he's not hitting shots. Like if you watch plays with Grady, like he'll run off the screen and like both his defender and the screener defender will go with him sometimes. Like he pulls guys around the floor, which again has been really valuable to the second unit. Um, but like at the end of the day, he's not making the shots. Like
Yeah.
in order for him to like be a rotational player in the NBA, he has to like he doesn't even have to shoot like 40%, but he has to shoot like mid to high 30s, and like yeah, and he's got to make tough shots.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I have one more. I know you've been generous with your time already, Ian. Like the only one I have, you've alluded to it a little bit at the beginning, and it's not really a stat driven thing, but you play who you play. That's ultimately how the league works, and that's how all leagues work. But we haven't really seen the Raptors face any tough like Western opponents. So obviously you have the juggernauts in the West, and you have obviously their I think a game and a half back from Detroit after their loss last night to be first in the conference. But is this sustainable? Just I'm going to leave it at that. Is this a sustainable method for success for this team? Do you think this lasts the entire season?
Maybe not the way it has. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't say like this per se is sustainable.
Right. Right.
There's like a few red flags. Joe Wolfond, ex-writer at The Score, wrote like a really fantastic piece, guest piece for Raptors Republic the other day, um, where he highlighted that like the Raptors are allowing like a ton of attempts at the rim and a ton of corner threes and like basically a ton of like the highest value shot types, but other teams are just shooting really poor on them.
Mm.
Hmm.
So like there is like yeah, there's some iffiness in like some of the numbers where like it could kind of normalize and bounce back on the Raptors a little bit. Um, I mean, we'll see what happens there. It's also like it's tough to say with things like that because they're so variable and they need such a like a wide sample to actually kind of regress to the mean. So yeah, but that's a bit of a red flag. Aside from that, like I do think what they're doing on offense is pretty sustainable. Just because the way Ingram has been playing and his shot making, it's obviously valuable because he's making the shots, but then it's also valuable because like last season when the Raptors got into a late clock situation, they were flattened out against the defense. They couldn't get any kind of advantage. They were giving the ball to like RJ Barrett and asking him to drive downhill against a congested lane and try to like finish over guys, which he could do like decently well sometimes, but not great. Or they were asking Scotty Barnes to like back down on a guy, post up, and take like a fading mid-range shot, like turnaround. And like he shot horribly on them. Like his efficiency was the worst in his career last year, and everyone thought that he was trying to take the star leap and couldn't do it. And now those guys are in roles that like make more sense for them. Like Scotty, instead of taking a ton of those difficult contested mid-range shots, like Brandon's taking them, and Scotty is catching on the second side and attacking a moving defense more often, or Scotty's like cutting, or he's being used as like I was looking at the numbers today for a piece I'm actually writing for Sportsnet.ca tomorrow, and he's being used twice as much as a roll man. So, and he's scoring great on those possessions. So like Brandon Ingram's taking harder shots, Scotty, RJ, and like the whole rest of the way down the roster are getting easier shots, and they've all been way more efficient. So I think that like the offensive process, and then on top of that, like I think that Darko's offensive system is just really sound. It's like the way they play is it's good, like modern basketball. So I'm a believer in the offense. There might be some holes to be poked in the defense, but I guess we'll see how it all pans out.
Time will tell. Yeah.
I just have one last thing. I think you already answered it, but I just want to double check. Who would you say is the number one option on this team? Is it BI?
I mean, it depends what you mean by like. If you mean like number one offensive option, yeah, sure. Like he's the guy that's going to be taking the shot at the end of the game.
Who's taking the shot at the end of the game?
Undoubtedly Brandon Ingram, of course. But if you ask me who the best player on the team was, I'd probably say Scotty Barnes. So
really,
really,
interesting.
Defensive player of the year, him. But
really
putting it out there. Yeah.
You're pushing that narrative or what?
I mean, I don't know about defensive player of the year, but for like all defense for sure. Yeah, he's like, I mean, his defense has been like sublime. I
have a take on him, and that is, I don't think he's the number one option on a championship team. I don't think he ever has like looked like one. I think he's like the number 2. He's like a 1B type, like on a championship team. I don't think he's the alpha guy that's gonna be the killer type thing. I just don't see that in him.
Well, not as a. I mean, like I was saying, like he's not a isolate, like go and like create off the dribble and get your own bucket kind of guy. Like he can do that a little bit, but he's not that like archetype of player. He's like he's like a big wing player that's really strong, and like if he gets mismatched, he can like bully drive and play bully ball on smaller wings and like use his size, and he has a really great touch around the rim to like score shots efficiently that way. He like I said, when you use him like as a roller or a cutter, or getting him like those mismatched post ups, like that's how he's going to score efficiently. So which is also like might not be the guy you're throwing the ball to in like a clutch situation or something with the clock running down, but those like that kind of scoring against mismatches is like kind of been like the trend of how people take advantage of other teams in the playoffs in recent seasons. So that is really important for playoff offense as well. So I would agree with you. Like if you kind of look at it that way, but I would say this. Maybe he wouldn't be like the stereotypical like number one option on a championship team. I think he could still be the best player on a championship team with his overall contribution in all facets of the game.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for giving us all your time today. Like I said, go check out his article that will be coming out today, I guess, when this podcast release on Sportsnet about the Raptors. And
tomorrow morning.
Well, this will go out tomorrow. That's. while we're recording.
Today.
See, you
It's out now.
gotta think about podcasting form. It's today. It's
Well,
Friday right now.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. You
Sure.
guys probably know, but I mean, I've been meaning to get into more podcasting, more the audio visual space, but I have not done a podcast in quite some time. So I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys about the Blue Jays and the Raptors and all the exciting stuff that's going on both sides. And it's just great to chat some ball with you guys.
Absolutely. We always appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll move on. And we'll get back to the rest of the episode. Switching up to the NFL now after that great interview from Ian. Let's just talk about the Thanksgiving games. I mean, as we record this, it is 6:45 on Thursday evening, and I'm just checking the score in the game. It's 17-14
Dallas.
Are you shocked?
So far at this game, if we're talking about this one specifically?
Just this game. Are you shocked by Dallas hanging around in this game?
I mean, it's funny because I've had the game on in the background while we were interviewing Ian, but I haven't watched it. Like, I've just kind of kept up with the score because obviously I focused on the interview and it was great to chat with him. I mean, it's weird because Dallas, they're fighting for their lives now. Both teams really right now are.
Both teams
like,
are.
if you had to. If you're looking at the games, obviously it might not be the best game today. So far, it seems to have sort of lived up to the point of it's watchable and it's entertaining because it's close midway through the third here. But it's the one where like the stakes probably are the highest because you look at the game earlier today, you have Detroit and Green Bay, both teams likely to make the playoffs. And later on in the evening, you have an AFC North clash between the Bengals and Ravens. I mean, that both fates are pretty much sealed there for the most part, other than Joe Burrow playing. So when you get to this one, I'm not surprised that Dallas, because their offense has been very, very dominant over the past few games. George Pickens has essentially taken over CeeDee Lamb as a number one option there, which is pretty crazy to see.
But this game is only 2 for 22, and
that's the thing is there's options.
Well, that's also part of the story I think that got out. Or
what do you mean?
The Instagram story you didn't see?
I don't know what one you're talking about.
Oh, George Pickens posted an Instagram story of Patrick Mahomes' wife saying it was time to feast today.
Oh, perfect. I mean, I love the diva wide receiver. It plays such an important role in the NFL, right?
And then he deleted it like 5 minutes after.
Yeah. Someone got in his ear. Dallas Cowboys PR was like, yeah, that's not going to fly here, pal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like it's I'm not surprised because it's still a close game here, and the Chiefs have not really they've played with their food a lot this year. It hasn't felt like they've been dominant, right? Obviously a big win over the Colts last week, but they never held a lead throughout the entire game. So stuff like that, it's like we don't really know what they are yet, and Dallas is fighting for their lives. They're real close to not making the playoffs, but they need this win more than anyone too.
I'm looking something up at the moment because it just crossed my mind. This is a weird matchup. Like, I don't remember the last time I've seen Kansas City play Dallas.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was watching some of the pregame in between the two Thanksgiving games so far. The last time Patrick Mahomes played at AT&T Stadium was when he was at Texas Tech. So he's never played here in the NFL. He had, this doesn't matter, but he had 586 yards. That's a crazy fact. Yes, it's college. 86. That's obviously
crazy.
not going to happen here, but no, he hasn't played in his career yet. And
last time they played Dallas was before this. Once at Arrowhead, 19-9, the Kansas City Chiefs won in 2021.
There you go.
This is a matchup that doesn't happen all that often. So it was just, and to happen on Thanksgiving, it's kind of a weird, but I love it. I think the matchup was really solid. Let's go to the earlier game that happened already today. Like you mentioned, Green Bay and Detroit, both teams. You said Detroit's a lock to make the playoffs at 7-5. I don't consider them a lock. I would say that they have a good chance, but if they lose one more game, it's not looking good. And I think that there's a chance that they might lose a game considering the fact that they lost Amon-Ra St. Brown in the first quarter against the Green Bay Packers, and he didn't come back. Obviously, terrible injury for the Detroit Lions. And if we're just talking about the game, Dan Campbell, obviously, does not care about points when you can get them. He would much rather go for it. It's been his motto since he's been the coach of the Detroit Lions. Do you think it hurt him today? Or
Well, I
came back
think,
to bite him, I should say.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, like they
In the
weren't like,
kneecap.
first of all, they kept trying to run Jahmyr Gibbs, which I know like is not a bad idea. Like obviously he's top
Yeah.
2 running back in the league. Like some, he's arguably with JT.
Ooh.
Some say,
Name
I mean, this year.
name Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I gotta preface it by this year, right?
I
Because
don't know if he's top 2, but sure.
well, yeah, we could kind of get into that after this breakdown because I think it's worth a conversation. They kept trying to run him. Now, that being said, like at one point, I don't recall, but I think it was midway through the third, or it could have been around the beginning. Jared Goff was like 14 for 17 for like 180 something yards in the air. So they kept trying to run Jahmyr Gibbs. He wasn't really making any breakoff rushes like he did in the game past or in the past few weeks. And through the air,
Yeah.
they were able to kind of mitigate the game with Jamison Williams and Tess Law somehow without Amon-Ra. So I was a little surprised just at the play calling a little bit. Like, what do I really know? But it just felt like it wasn't working. And I mean, that's been Dan Campbell's motto. Like you said, it would be probably worse if he strayed from it. I don't know if his team would like trust him if he just decided to switch up in this game, especially on Thanksgiving, where like
That's fair.
everyone's watching. That's kind of my thought. But clearly they lost, so it might not have been the best play, but he stuck to kind of who he is, I guess.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is that I think I can name um I think he's like top 3, top 4, but I think I can name 3 running backs that are better than Jahmyr Gibbs.
I would like to see you give it a shot.
All right. I think Jonathan Taylor, obviously,
Okay.
front
Yeah.
runner for the MVP in my opinion.
Okay.
We're talking, so this is kind of important because we gotta we're talking about not just rushing, right? We're talking about pass catching ability and their effectiveness in the pass game as well, right?
Yeah,
Or
just
just
the running back position in general. Like it doesn't
okay.
have to be
So
just by rushing.
I would arguably say Christian McCaffrey's been more effective this season than Jahmyr Gibbs. I really think every single time he touches the ball, there's an explosive play waiting to happen with him. And I think a lot of the reason that he's not like, he's got 800 yards rushing, but the offensive line is just not as strong as what it once was because of the injuries in San Francisco, and that's, it's normal.
Mhm.
The other one from me, you could argue, and you could tell me no. I think James Cook this season has been better than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's been better than he's been in the past. Has James Cook? Like this is probably his best year so far. What is his 4th year, I think, in the league?
Yeah,
Um,
4th or 5th.
something like that. But I think just the explosive plays from Jahmyr Gibbs and like the way he's been able to affect that offense, especially when you have so many weapons there in Detroit. Like I think he's been their best offensive weapon this season by far, and he's got a lot to compete with. I guess the question really is like if you were to swap the players, like swap any player with like Jahmyr
What their
Gibbs,
team?
like
Yeah.
would it be as effective? I guess that might be the question to ask. I don't really know.
I don't
I
know.
mean, James Cook, I think you can argue, but
I
I still
think
think it's Gibbs for sure.
if you took that argument, I think Bijan's the number 1 running back in the NFL.
The problem with Bijan is just like the team's bad. So
That's what I
like
mean.
if he's up
You're talking
there.
about the argument of like switching them in to another team, right? Like if you
Yeah,
switch
yeah,
Bijan on Detroit, he's the best running back in the league. If you switch
yeah.
Bijan to I want to say Buffalo or even I would even argue someone that has been like I wouldn't say the Patriots have had an amazing running game this season, but like decent, and they have
Yeah.
a good offensive line. And he's the best running back in the league. Like it's just
Yeah, fair
it's
enough.
the
Yeah.
team in Atlanta that's really holding him back, in my opinion, and the coaching. They just need to get rid of the whole thing and just move
It's
on. They
tough
just need
there.
to
Yeah,
move
it's
on.
tough there.
Predictions for tonight. Is it a must-win game for Baltimore?
I would
I guess
say
tomorrow.
no. I would say no. Yeah, I would say Yeah, good. I mean, I guess we would know by the time this comes out. But if I were to have to predict for Baltimore, I would say no, only because I don't trust the Steelers, and they have
Fair
won
enough.
5 games in a row. Aaron Rodgers, we don't know when he's going to play again. Like in terms of, is he hurt? Is he going to come back this coming week? Like we don't know. I think the AFC North is very much theirs if they want it. It's just, and also like Joe Burrow's coming back. That's great, but T Higgins is out. Like their defense is horrendous. So I think they win. So I don't think it's a must win. I do think they win anyway, but I just think there's a lot more opportunity for Baltimore because I just don't trust that division at all.
Baltimore's playing good defensively. One last thing on the NFL before we switch up here. I'm just looking at the rest of the weekend slate. Even Friday, Bears, Eagles. Is there one game that sticks out to you? Because honestly, the games this weekend do not look pretty. You have like the Jaguars, Titans, Falcons, Jets, Rams, Panthers, 49ers, Browns, Steelers, Bills, Vikings, Seahawks, Broncos, Commanders, Chargers, Raiders, Texans, Colts, and Cardinals, Buccaneers, and Saints, Dolphins. I think the best game of the weekend is probably going to be the Bills, Steelers. I would have to assume.
I would argue. I mean, I think they put a lot of great, like they utilize a lot of good games, like on Thanksgiving.
On Thanksgiving,
like,
yes,
time.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
So far, so good. I would actually say that the Texans Colts game is going to be the best game. Yeah,
okay.
Good defense for Houston. Then you have, I mean, it's a division matchup, and Indianapolis is not necessarily granted that AFC South position.
100%.
The Jaguars are a game behind. The Houston is on a pretty good roll right now. So I don't know. I think that's going to be a solid game, and we're going to really see if Daniel Jones is who we thought he was to start the year. I think he's playing through something fractured. I think he's like injured going into the game.
Fibula or something. Like
so I don't know. It'll be fun to watch.
I don't know. I can't trust the Jags. I just feel like no matter what, Trevor Lawrence is going to try to throw the game away. It does not matter. Like he's just going to do everything in his power to be like, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity to beat us, and we're just going to try and hold on. That's the way it feels like anyway right now. No, 100%. I don't understand how he's getting paid $55 million this season. That's kind of crazy to me. But anyway. Moving on to the NHL, the last topic, or last sport of the day to talk about here. There are no games on Thursday, November 27th, and that is probably good for the Edmonton Oilers, considering the fact that they got absolutely blown out on Tuesday night on home ice after a 7-game road trip where they went 3-1, with the last game an impressive win against the Florida Panthers on last Saturday night. They take on the Dallas Stars at home, and they give up 4 first-period goals. Now, this coming hours after it was reported that the Oilers basically Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard have been basically given a month until Christmas to figure it out, or else they're going to have to go into the goalie market. Well, I think that deadline probably is now instead of just Christmas, because that was absolutely hard to watch on Tuesday night. And it's kind of crazy that, I think it was like 4 on 8 shots as well. It wasn't even like
exactly
he got lit up. Like it wasn't like he got lit up in terms of like, the defense just gave up 20 shots the first period. No. He just got absolutely lit up himself. So, yeah, where do you think the Edmonton Oilers are with goaltending right now?
It's funny because we obviously have to talk about this team, and I'm happy to talk about it because I don't like Edmonton. I've never been. I don't dislike Edmonton. I have nothing against the people there or the city. I've never been.
I'm never accepted there ever.
Yeah, immediately stamp my negative card. I don't like talking about this team because you have the best 2 players in the world, but how in the 10 years that McDavid has been there, there's always been a goalie controversy. I just will never know. I realized that there was one point years ago where Jacob Markstrom was like this close to signing in Edmonton, and the next day Calgary swooped in, and I don't know what happened there, but so it was possible they were able to solve it. Now, going to that game, I did watch the whole game because it was the only NHL game that night. Weird. And Mikko Rantanen was Like Tuesday night, I just felt it was really weird. Now American
Usually a
Thanksgiving
heavy
throws that
night.
off. Yeah, big time. No games. Wednesday was a huge slate, but Tuesday the only game on, and Mikko Rantanen wasn't even playing. So I was like, well, Edmonton should be able to take advantage of this. He was suspended for that game. Didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
8 goals between each goalie, perfectly separated.
You couldn't even say hey, Calvin Pickard came in and did a thing
no.
again. No.
Well, the problem is I watched and I tried to have like a very neutral hat on, because I was like, of the 4 goals that went in, you can argue that a couple of them, like the defense was nowhere to be found. Like the team was so flat coming out of the gate. They weren't protecting Stuart Skinner at all. It's not all on him. What I will say is 3 goals went in. I was like, it's not all on him. It's still tough. You got to make one. The 4th goal, and I don't recall who had it, but he basically he got a glove on it, I think. It went up in the air and it just went right on his back and rolled in. And I'm like, that is the most Stuart Skinner goal I've ever seen. You have to make that save. 3-0's not insurmountable for those guys. They could win that game.
No, they can come back.
4-0. It's like, all right, dude, what else are we gonna do here? The game's done. So
game was over in the first period.
Game was over in the first period. You cannot go. I know they made back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, and Stuart Skinner seemed to have found his game in the playoffs, but dude, it's over. It's over. What are we watching?
They have to trade him. They have to trade him. And not just
regardless of what they do, they just need a new guy. They need
to trade him for him as well. He needs a fresh start, I feel like.
I know, that's a good point.
He needs to go somewhere and get a fresh start for himself. Because if not, if they continue down this road, it's just not going to end up good. And a lot of hard to insinuate here, but a lot of people could in a couple of years say Stuart Skinner's the reason we lost Connor McDavid. You know what I mean? That could, a lot of fans could take that rationale, and it probably isn't the reason why they would lose Connor McDavid, but you know what I mean? A lot of people, a lot of fans would take the rationale that the goaltending has been terrible the whole time that Connor McDavid's here, so that's why he left. And I wouldn't blame them for taking that side. But this is where it gets hard, because yes, they need to look for a new goalie, but what's the goalie market look like? I heard Tristan Jarry be floated out there. I don't like that. I don't think that's a really good option. We've seen him stink. Even last year, he was sent to the AHL, had to clear waivers with a $5 million cap hit. That's just ridiculous. Yes, he's been a little bit better this year. I will say that, but why do that? I don't see a path where Colorado overhauled their goaltending like crazy last year with Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood, as they realized their goaltending was absolutely terrible, and if they were going to have a chance of winning anything, they need to overhaul it. I just don't see those type of goalies on the market right now. I don't see that path. The only player who I see isn't a Mackenzie Blackwood or Scott Wedgwood, is a minor name, and you're just hoping that he's gonna become something big, and you're looking at the underlying numbers. For me, it has to be UC Saros of Nashville. That's the only guy that I can think of that would be the most available goalie on the market in terms of guy that's proven it. Struggling right now, but you hope that fresh start and new place for him would also help him and rebound and get back to that game, because that's the only goalie that I'm looking at, unless you have a goalie that you think hey, give it a shot.
No, I would say I agree, because Jarry is on a Pittsburgh team that he's actually had a really good start to the year, but Pittsburgh is in a wild card spot. Why would they give that up? I know it's a tanking year. That's what they said. They have a lot of guys. They do have
4 goalies. They have 4
Bloomquist,
goalies,
right? And you have good players, but they are playing well, and if he's going to factor into that, it's tough to get rid of him. Detroit is now out of the playoffs, but they started hot. You have Cam Talbot there, but if they're going to potentially move, why would you get rid of him? A lot of people are thinking Jordan Binnington. I've seen a lot of Jordan Binnington memes to Edmonton. I've seen a lot, because St. Louis is not having a good year. And I know Doug Armstrong is, he's pretty honest about his team. But we've seen that exchange before with St. Louis and Edmonton, where he stole Broberg and Holloway away from Edmonton a little while back. Maybe it's a good grace to say, hey, we know you're struggling. Here's Binnington. The problem is here, everyone in the world knows Edmonton is struggling. So they're not just going to give goalies away for free. They're going to ask for more. You know what I mean?
And it's not like Jordan Binnington's been good this year. He's got an .881 save percentage with 3.1 goals against average.
I know.
It's not like he's been great. It's not like UC Saros has been much better either, so it does not matter.
No, I think it's just at least you can say if you're Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson, we tried something, rather than your fans are at least going to say, well, at least we tried to get some help if it doesn't work. But if you don't do anything, they're going to be like, well, you had options in these goalies and you just decided to stick with Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard.
Just looking at this right now, I think there's one other name that I think we can bring up, and that would be Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen from Buffalo, who's not playing a lot, and he wants to be on or at the Olympics. And it's a goalie that has looked good in the past, and I think that could be a name that I guess we could watch for. But outside of those, I guess 4 guys, I just don't see there's really a market. And it's not like all four of those guys, other than Jerry, which we know just doesn't last. Sorry to Jerry, but all 4 of these guys just aren't that good. They're right now, at least they're just not that good. And you just gotta hope for a turnaround if you're trading for one of them that could be better than Stuart Skinner that hasn't been good himself. So it's hard. This whole situation was hard.
I would say Saros is the best option if Nashville's willing to trade.
Best option.
Right, if they're willing to trade, he is an elite goaltender, and Nashville's just not their defense. I don't know about the way they play defense, but you look at their blue line, outside of Yossi, no one's popping off the table. So that's all. Killed. That's the thing is I think he would do much better in an Oilers uniform, but what price are they willing to pay, and what price is Nashville willing to accept?
Yeah, that's the question. That's $1 million question. Moving on from one tire fire to the other tire fire in Western Canada. That would be the Vancouver Canucks. You should be happy, Calgary fans. I'm not mentioning you guys. The Vancouver Canucks, according to Elliot Friedman, are listening to all veteran players, but except Quinn Hughes at this time. And Frank Saravelli tweeted out that, he has made a lot of phone calls this week, and he seems to be hearing that Quinn Hughes is 100% committed to the Vancouver Canucks. I don't think that is going to be the case come trade deadline time, but we'll get to that conversation in a little bit. Who do you think is the most valuable veteran that the Vancouver Canucks have to trade? Because I'm assuming that they are realizing that this team is not good enough to win a cup, and that they're going to absolutely blow this thing up. So that means guys like Connor Garland, Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, who they just signed to an extension. Yeah. Connor Garland as well. Kiefer Sherwood. All these guys are on the table, I would assume.
I would assume the same, and you said it already. I think Garland's the guy that is probably the most valuable. Well, I mean, obviously Sherwood's having a great year, and Besser is who he is. He's a little bit one-dimensional for me. And Elias Pettersson, I think, is the most valuable, but at that contract, you got to take everything in, right? Yeah. Exactly. You'd have to probably eat 50 or 25 or something. Connor Garland, I'm just looking it up. $6 million for 6 years, I think is what he signed. That kicks in next year.
Next season.
That's not season. Next season. I think with the bite that he has, he's a small player, but he plays with a lot of pace and enthusiasm, and he has some grit to him, which on a playoff team probably means a lot. I feel like the Leafs always could use that. Not that I'm saying that would be a perfect fit for them, but a team like that, a team that doesn't really make a lot of noise in the playoffs, I think could really use Connor Garland. And he's played in multiple places before, and he seems to have kind of found a fit here in Vancouver, but I think he could probably move the needle. And he's not a big price and he's signed obviously for the next 6. But if they're willing to move him, I think that's a big piece.
I would think that
Who
Kiefer
would you
Sheard would
think?
be the most valuable veteran.
Okay.
And like you talk about what wins in the playoffs, what's the motive, what's the playoffs type style. It's about physicality, and this guy broke the record for hits in an NHL season last year. He's got like 100 already this season as well. And he's scoring goals as well. Like, it's not just like he's hitting and he can't do anything effectively on the offensive side of the puck. He's scoring at an effective rate right now as well. And I think that for his contract, what he costs for this season, for a rental, I think it can drive up the price a lot on Kiefer Sherwood. And I think that he is honestly valuable. Yes, Connor Garland's probably, I don't know. I think like Connor Garland's probably more valuable in terms of a team player and what you can see long term with them. But in terms of what you can get for these guys, I think Kiefer Sherwood is more valuable because he's on a $1.5 million contract this season. I think that, like we talked about contracts with Elias Pettersson, he's probably the most valuable player on the team. But like obviously the contract drags that thing down. I think for that reason, Kiefer Sherwood is going to draw the most in a return, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think one of the least valuable veterans would be Brock Besser. I do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's just, what does he bring other than the goal scoring ability?
And when he's not doing that, what does he do? Like exactly.
That's
what does
the
he
thing,
do?
right? It's like Laine. I wouldn't say it's as bad as a Patrick Laine. Like Laine has proven he's extremely one dimensional.
Yeah.
Besser probably has a little bit more to his game, but like that's kind of a comparison I think of. Like, yeah, I don't know. He's had a great season. If I'm not mistaken, he had a decent start last season. I don't recall Besser I'm talking about. I don't remember.
He's got 15 points in 22 games, 8 goals right now, and he's a -7 on the year.
It's about what to expect with him, at least from like a production standpoint. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's tough because they just signed him, and like it was a surprise signing too. So
yeah,
he clearly wanted to be there.
He wanted to be there. He could have left in the
offseason.
offseason. Like, I don't think anyone was really expecting him to go back there.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people expect him to go home to Minnesota. But anyway, he chose to stay there, and it doesn't look pretty right now for Vancouver. And the most prettiest object in Vancouver has to be Quinn Hughes. Probably the prettiest player on the market in general.
Yeah.
And you think last year Mikko Rantanen gets traded, and like you say, like this never happens in the NHL. Like a top 10, top 15 player gets traded mid-season. And we could see a bigger player get traded this season if that's just crazy to think about. But that's the kind of state where we're at. And I made a video earlier this week that I posted on social media, and I said I think honestly the Vancouver Canucks should trade Quinn Hughes like ASAP. And my belief is if you let this go until next season, which it seems like there's no reason to believe that he's going to be extending with the Vancouver Canucks at this moment in time, then why wait when teams know that you're going to be backed into a corner kind of deal? And like they can say like, well, this is the price we're going to pay, or we'll just wait until the offseason and he can walk for nothing and you can get nothing. Where I think this year, if you trade him this year with a year and a half left on his deal, I think that's a lot more appealing to a lot more teams, a lot of contenders, because even if you're paying for Quinn Hughes only for a year and a half for him to go to New Jersey after that year and a half, for a contender, that's worth it, 100% worth it, because that could push them over, not even just push, like that could be the deciding factor because Quinn Hughes is that impactful, that I think it could open up a lot more options for the Vancouver Canucks, and you can get an absolute haul for him. So that's why I think they should move him right now. I don't know if you agree with my thinking or where you sit with this, but I just want to know what your thoughts are on what I just said.
I think it's fair. Like, I think I know where your logic's coming from. And the one thing that would make me agree more is that Jim Rutherford being in Vancouver, like he's a guy who is notorious for making trades earlier than the trade deadline. Like he kind of starts the trades a lot of the time in NHL seasons. And sometimes they might not be logical, but a lot of the times they're first. It's like we talked about Frank Seravalli off air, and sometimes how his reporting is first, right? But sometimes he likes to get on the scoop as quick as possible. I feel like Jim Rutherford's the same way. Like I obviously knows way more about hockey than I do, and clearly, like, a lot of his decisions have been positive. But he's been quick to make decisions in this league, and so that wouldn't surprise me to see Quinn Hughes go this season, maybe not anytime in like the next month, but maybe sometime this season, because you have that extra year to worry about it. And other teams can look at that and say, we have the time to try and coax Quinn Hughes to stay here. Like, there's longer time with that group rather than, hey, Mikko, here's a month. Like, decide now or never if you want to play in Carolina. Like, obviously the guy's not going to be comfortable making that decision. So Quinn Hughes is a very thoughtful guy. Like, when you look at him, he's the captain for a reason, but the way that he tackles like media, and he feels like he's very thoughtful. So he would be the front runner. And like, if I want to be traded now, trade me. So we'll see what his decision is, but it's not looking good for the Pacific Coast right now. That's for sure.
And I get it. It sucks because you're going to have to trade away a guy that's like so hard and every team's looking for. But at the end of the day, if he's not going to stay, what's the point of trying to keep him? And instead resetting your franchise and setting yourself up for the future to hopefully get 2 Quinn Hughes type players on your team in that type of value. Because that's the hard part with this whole conversation is when does Vancouver realize, hey, like, we should just reset this thing right now completely and get what we can for Quinn Hughes, because Quinn Hughes is going to demand an absolute haul, and Vancouver can do very well. Like, I just think they can do very, very well if they elect to sell him now.
Yeah,
and
I think that's fair. Yeah, it's going to save you hopefully some money in terms of what you're going to have to pay for him, and depending on what haul you get back, likely a lot of picks and prospects.
Prospects, maybe in a roster player that's already developing. Like,
the thing is, the only thing is you're making it known that, like, we're obviously not competing. Like, this window or whatever window they have is gone, and like
I
fans,
think they already
like,
know
better
it's
be
gone.
Prepared for it.
I think the only thing is
too, fans there are very like they love the Canucks. Like, I know Leafs fans and Canadiens fans are the same.
No. The Canucks are insane.
They are kind of crazy. It seems that way. So you better be like, yo, if we're trading him, like, it's going to be under a microscope, whatever they get back.
And sure. not insane, like, bad, but you're insane, passionate, insanely
like hockey
passionate.
Fanatics.
And that's a good thing. But it's going to be, it's really going to be interesting to see what they do. But that's really all I really had for today's show in terms of NHL. We got a lot in with Ian talking about basketball and the massive signing that was Dylan Cease on November 26, 7 years, $210 million. Like I said earlier, 30 million AAV, the largest free agent signing in Blue Jays history. We hope you guys enjoyed the interview. We hope you enjoyed your if you're listening in the States, which I highly doubt, but if you are, happy Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoy the football that's happening tomorrow, and enjoy Black Friday, because I know that's a massive thing that everyone loves.
Huge.
So enjoy it, and we'll talk to you later. Peace out.